Oops. Come on. Hi, everyone. Sorry for that. This is the first lesson in Chapter 6 on multiplying binomials. Now, just to give you an idea of kind of where this fits in with the bigger picture, Chapter 6 is all about what's called quadratics. And quadratics are anything with an x squared in them. So I'm just going to jot that down up here so that you know it. I believe we actually talked about this already once this year, but quadratics is anything that has an x squared in it. That's the theme of this whole chapter. Okay, and so today's lesson, what's going to really happen is this is just the mechanics of multiplying what we call binomials together. But when you multiply binomials, you get x squared in your answer. And so this is a process that you're going to have to really be familiar with throughout the rest of this chapter. Okay, and you've probably already done this before, so today is hopefully just a reminder to you. So, multiplying binomials. First of all, you need to know what a binomial is. A binomial is a mathematical expression with two terms. And so, like for example, the expression 2x plus 1 is a binomial. Okay, two terms, two pieces to it. And so what we want to focus on today is how to multiply two of these things together. So like 2x plus 1 times 3x minus 5. Okay. Now, some of you, again, may have done this before. Some of you may know an acronym that's going to help you do this. I'll talk about the acronym in just a minute, but I want you to see why it works mathematically first. So if I gave you this, but I didn't have this second term here, if I just had a 2x sitting outside of these parentheses, 3x minus 5, I feel pretty confident that all of you would know that that 2x needs to be distributed, right? So that's really what we're doing, is distributing the 2x. But then when I throw the 1 in there, we're going to distribute the 1 as well. Okay? So it's just the distributive property twice. Distribute the 2x and then distribute the 1. And so you end up multiplying both of these by both of these, and you're going to end up with 4 pieces in your answer. So I'll show you what I mean. So the first thing I did was this. 2x times the 3x. 2 times 3 is 6. And x times x is x squared. Okay? And then 2x times negative 5 gives me negative 10x. 1 times 3x is 3x. And 1 times negative 5 is negative 5. Okay? So that's what happens when you multiply binomials together. Okay? Is you multiply the 2x by both of these, and you multiply the 1 by both of these, and you end up with these 4 pieces. Now, within those 4 pieces, you can usually combine a couple of them, typically the middle ones. I can combine negative 10x and 3x and make this 6x squared. Let's see, negative 10 plus 3 is negative 7x, and then minus 5. Okay, 6x squared minus 7x minus 5. And this would be your answer. Okay, this would be this multiplication problem simplified. That's as far as you can go. Okay, there's nothing else you can do with that. So I just presented this to you like the double distributive property. Okay, that's how I usually refer to it, is I'm going to double distribute. I'm going to distribute this, I'm going to distribute this. And the thing about this is, if you think of it as the distributive property, it's going to keep working even if I make these trinomials, or if I give them 4 terms, or whatever. Okay, it's always just distributing. But some of you may have learned the acronym FOIL. Okay? And FOIL stands for first, outside, inside, and last. Okay? And so here's where that comes from. First, you multiply the first things in each parenthesis. So that's first right there. Outside, you multiply the 2 things that are on the outer edges. So you do the 2x times the negative 5. Inside would be these 2 kind of sandwiched in the middle. So here and here. And so that's where we did 1 times 3x. And then last would be the last one in each parenthesis. That's the 1 and the negative 5. Okay? But that really is just an acronym to kind of help you stay organized. It's the exact same thing as doing the distributive property twice. Okay, now one more thing I'm going to throw at you here is today not only are we going to be multiplying these things, but we're going to be squaring them as well. Okay? And so what I want to remind you of is that when I say I'm going to square something, what I really mean is that I'm going to multiply by itself. When I say I'm going to square 5, that means I'm doing 5 times 5. If I'm going to square x, I'm doing x times x. So here in example 1, when I have x minus 3 squared, I cannot just make this x squared minus 9. Okay? That's a big no-no. It is not just x squared minus 9. Okay? That's what people do when they want to just square the x and square the 3. This square means I have 2 copies of this parenthesis. X minus 3 times x minus 3. And then I have to go through my whole process that I talked about up here. Okay? So first is x times x, which is x squared. Outside would be x and negative 3, so that's negative 3x. Inside would be negative 3 times x, so that's another negative 3x. And last would be negative 3 and negative 3, which is positive 9. Okay? And when I combine my middle terms here, I end up with x squared minus 6x plus 9. Okay? And that's it. That'd be my answer for that one. So now let's try this next one. 2m plus 4 squared means 2m plus 4 times 2m plus 4. Okay, you have to write it out twice. There's not a shortcut here. You have to write it out twice. 2m times 2m is 4m squared. So anytime you're doing a variable times a variable, you're going to end up with a square, right? M times m gives you m squared here. 2m times 4 is 8m. 4 times 2m is another 8m. And 4 times 4 is 16. And then put my middles together. I can't combine an m with an m squared. Okay, remember those aren't like terms. So my m squared has to stay separate. But a common mistake that I see people make here is if they forget that m times m is m squared and they accidentally write this down as a 4m, then they end up combining all of these together. This one's always going to be different because you're doing a variable times a variable, so you get a square in there. Okay? And that's it. That's my final answer on that one. Okay, 4m squared plus 16m plus 16. Okay, there are some harder word problems. I'm going to go ahead and stop this video and do a second video on the word problems so that you could watch these in 2 separate pieces if you needed to. So stay tuned for the second half.